Well, guess what? You get 20 minutes because we had a cancellation.
Yes, really?
I know. I don't think I'm at liberty to give you that. I don't know how I don't know how the
You guys
minutes
all
system.
heard it. Dylan said it, so that's true. My name is Monica Gleberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we're speaking with Dylan O'Brien, who has two major releases coming up. First one is Saturday Night, and the second is Caddo Lake. For Saturday Night, tensions run high as producer Lorne Michaels and a ferocious troupe of young comedians and writers prepare for the first broadcast of Saturday Night Live on October 11th, 1975. Next up is Caddo Lake, which is about an 8-year-old girl who mysteriously vanishes. A series of past deaths and disappearances start to link together, forever altering a broken family's history. So to talk about both of these films and the different roles he plays, here is Dylan O'Brien. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. All right. So first of all, I don't know if you remember, but we talked about Not Okay last time I saw you.
Yes, yes.
And I nicknamed you Pinkie because you were like so cute and all the outfits and they were amazing. And then the outfit I was obsessed with. So I'm
Yeah, thank
happy
you.
to see you again.
It's great to see you too. Yes, you made an impression on me last time
Uh,
we spoke.
you mean because I'm so quiet and calm?
You get on it. We have like a little list of like the faves and the not faves. You know what I mean? You're on the
I'm
faves.
on the page.
She
All
goes,
right, I'm
okay,
going to jump in because I have so many questions for
go.
you.
Sure.
Okay, so let's start with Saturday night.
Okay.
I am This is where my confusion comes in. You said that you were like nervous, you weren't sure like how you were going to do. You thought you might have been miscast. And
Yeah.
I saw Saturday Night and I'm going, what the hell is he talking about? You were so good in it. And like literally,
Thanks.
there was one point, I rewatched it twice. There was one point where I closed my eyes and it literally sounded like Dan Aykroyd was speaking, like every
So
time you were on
funny.
the scenes. So,
Yeah.
what were you nervous about? Like, talk to me, like, and then how did you push through that? Because you
Yeah.
nailed it.
Thank you so much. That's really kind. And again, I mean, look, a lot of this has been a very interesting learning lesson and experience of just like, um, I should not be the sole judger of my, the work that I do. And there's a reason that that's should be something that I should focus on and understand. Because that's not the point, and I think I tend to kind of self-analyze and critique and I may have an instinct that about myself that is not how somebody else would react objectively, and so yeah, but it's all true. I totally didn't think that I was right for the part, and even when I kind of went in and did it, I didn't think I was gonna get it. And then when it was like, they wanted to cast me, like I still was just like, is this am I just gonna stick out like a sore thumb? Are they desperate at
Right.
this point and just need to cast somebody? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. You kind of just think of all these things, you kind of like catastrophize the situation a little bit. And I think I was really self-conscious that I didn't like look a lot like him, and I was seeing a lot of the other casts um announcements come out and felt like a lot of people were looking like there were people. I don't know things that ultimately at the end of the day we can talk about all day, but like it's boring and indulgent, and it doesn't matter because
Right.
like you know, Jason is steering the ship. It's, he was creating what he was creating, right? None of us know that vision. We all sort of do our best to subscribe to it and listen and collaborate, right? And with the idea that your captain is kind of steering the way and has the ultimate end game in mind. He's seen all the pieces. He's, orchestrating the whole thing. So your specific one little piece, to that puzzle, it just really became like a huge lesson in trust and trusting the text, trusting my cast, trusting my director, trusting, there's an element of trust obviously on every thing that you do in this industry. But this really was just kind of like letting go of that, and if anything, embracing that, you know, the meaning the differences that I felt that I possessed, right? And then along the way, really evolving to really learn that we had a lot of similarities as well as far as personalities go. Like, I think there was a lot of things that I was surprised to kind of end up feeling really in cahoots with Dan, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I sort of even just the way that I would kind of overthink my my playing him, I think was like sort of a quality of his that he may possess. You know, I don't know. Essentially, at the end of the day, it was just really trusting that Jason brought us all there for a reason. And if I'm looking around at everyone else, you know, genuinely thinking, wow, they're so incredible. Like, wow, they're so incredible. Wow, look at what they're bringing to the table. And everyone else was dealing with the same types of insecurities, you know what I mean? And so then you kind of just go, okay, this is just par for the course. This is like how this goes, you know, and I'm human for feeling that, and let's go do the work.
Well, I laughed because in that same interview, you were like, I reached a point, and I feel like we all do this because we're all insecure, right? And as a journalist, I always go, oh, I don't want to ask the same questions that they get asked all day, and I don't want to, and I don't want to bore them. And then you get like self-conscious, you know, and like you start like freaking out. So your quote, and I swear to God, I live by this now. When I read it, I just started laughing. You were just like, I was like, fuck it. Like, you just reach a point and you're just like, fuck it. You got to just let it go, do it, and just like hope for the best, and like take some of that out so that you're just not so boggled down.
Yeah, and you utilize it for whatever you need, like in a moment of desperation and out of pure survival of the experience. I was like, okay, I'm clearly not gonna not feel this way, so I at least need to translate it into something good. So my fuck it came from, you know, I've already failed then. You know what I mean? Like, so hence I actually, that's the greatest gift. I've just been given the gift of ultimate freedom, right? Like, that's how I ended up translating it for myself. And that's what ended up working for me on this experience, you know, bizarre as it sounds.
Well, you were so good. So if there was any concern,
Thanks.
you have none, because not only did you fit in, but literally I told you, like, I rewatched it, and with Corey and with you in particular, I closed my eyes and I was like, oh my God, I hear them. Like, I literally hear Dan and I hear like Chevy, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
I
It's
really
one
appreciate
of the
that.
best films of the year. And I just want to congratulate you because you did a good job. And I do have
The
to say really
pre-mortem got me there.
But I do have to say really quickly on social media, because of course, you know, all the girls love you and guys love you. And when that photo came out with the shorts, which is one of the most iconic skits that he ever did, which was amazing. But I love when
I had never seen it.
Oh, you've never seen it, really?
I had never seen it. Well, I have now,
I'll
obviously.
send it to you. Oh, you've seen it now? Okay.
Yeah, I've seen this sketch. I hadn't before this movie, before this experience, you know.
Yeah, and like I loved even that scene because there was like insecurity and like feeling uncomfortable, which I think a lot of comedians feel with certain sketches and things they have to do, not know, because you just don't know the future, and not knowing that it would blow up to be like one of the most famous skits of all time. So I love that you were like brave enough to do that scene and just like go in and give it your all. It was funny too. Like, I was laughing, like, I mean,
no, people really love that scene, which is great, you know. I guess the way I approached it was like, well, first of all, it was different. I wasn't playing it that way at first. I totally was off the mark in terms of what Jason wanted. Because again, I sort of something I've said that I hooked into about Dan, like that I used as like a through line, was like possessing no insecurities. Like, that's always kind of what I got from his vibe and like his interviews. And so when I went into that scene, I certainly didn't like play it I guess with that vulnerability or with it getting to him at all. Like, I played it kind of with him, like fucking around with it too, you know, and like, and thinking it was funny, liking being the center of attention, especially in like a sexually desired way. I don't know. These were like the things that I genuinely was thinking. And Jason came over and was like, he's like, got to be way more vulnerable. Like, this is getting to you. It's like making you super uncomfortable. And I was like, oh, okay. Was not doing that at all. So then in the way that I guess I ended up playing it like, so what you said was really like really resonated just now. And I thought it was interesting to always remind myself that like no one ever knew what any of this was going to become, right? So I came from it, from that place with it, I guess. Like maybe he was like, all right, fuck it, I'll just take my robe off. Like this is never going to make
Yeah.
it into an episode anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Like he was like,
I
screw it. No one's
guess
going to see this.
exactly. So then he started getting a little like into it a little bit, and then he was like, all right, enough's enough. But like, whatever, we're probably going to, scratch that up anyway.
And then who knew what that was going to become?
Right.
But your accent, or I should say, like, I loved also that it wasn't like a mock of everyone or an impression of everyone, but
Mm.
I don't know what to properly call it. Accent, his voice, I don't know, but whatever
Right.
you channeled, I don't know how you did that. I don't know if you listened to tapes, and I know you prep a lot, so I don't know if you listened
Mm.
to a ton of stuff over and over again, but you like nailed it, like literally. And I actually asked a friend, I said, listen, I'm going to play you two things. And I played Dan and I played you.
Mm.
They couldn't tell the difference.
What
Well,
part
how
was
did you
this?
do
What?
that?
Well, I don't think that I did.
You
But how I
did. I'm
tried to
telling you,
do
you
it,
did.
there's a lot of recordings on my phone of me just like talking to myself like him. I don't know, there were days I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh, I'm like dialed, I'm nailing it right now. I need to record this. And then there were days that I would wake up and I'd be like, I have no idea how to sound like him. And I don't know, just using my ear, doing my best, listening to a lot of interviews, listening to things that I over and over again that I felt like I was really good at grasping and were sort of in my pocket of like being able to do. His screen test I was very obsessed with, and so I would just try to like, and he'd ramble through a bunch of different accents on that. Uh he was so adept with accents and characters, and the speed at which he would improvise and switch from one to the other, was incredible to me. And so I don't know, I would just like in my downtime, especially when we're down there, and um I would just kind of be swimming in it in my head, and then literally just pull out my phone and just play sometimes, and then listen back, and I don't know, do that as much as I could, I guess.
I'm going to ask one last question about it, and then I want to switch over to Caddo Lake because I'm obsessed.
Okay,
I'm obsessed. So,
cool, thanks.
last question really related to it. A lot of fans were asking, is there, after doing this project, would you ever be on SNL? And which I feel like I would be scarred. I think I might have PTSD after watching this movie. I don't know if I'd want to join in, but would you want to do SNL? And if you did, is there a musical guest or someone that you would want? But I got that question 100,000 times, so gotta ask for the fans.
Right. Yeah, it's a hard question to answer because I feel like politically, if I even expressed any type of human, like, I don't know, over it or something, like people would be like, well, fuck him then. But like, yeah, obviously I would say that would be, if I'm looking back, I would definitely, I don't know, I'd say be upset if I had that opportunity and said no for whatever reason. So I would imagine that, yeah, I would do it. I think it's like slightly terrifying, but as is like everything that I do, in my own job, like I'm kind of phobic about it all anyway, and this is what I've chosen. So yeah, let's go with yeah. And then in
Okay.
terms of the host or the guests, musical guest,
Yeah, you like good bands,
give me
so
Renee Rapp all day. Oh, what did you say?
I said you like really good bands and good music, so
Yeah, Remy Wolf,
yeah.
Renee Rapp. Those are two that I'm like, obsessed with. So they came first to my mind. So yeah, let's just go with them.
Okay, perfect. Let's switch to Caddo Lake.
Yeah,
Okay,
cool.
first of all, can you ever take a movie where you're not like drowning, running, trying to like, I mean, like, I'm
Yeah.
like, can this guy ever take, you just, I am amazed that you just never take a second to like breathe in a film. You know what I mean? Like, all films are hard, but there's like easier films, I feel like, in terms of
Yeah.
storyline and what you have to do. You
Right.
just like pick these films that are like physically demanding,
Yeah.
emotionally demanding. So what draws you to that? Because this film in particular, literally, I watched it 4 times. to try to catch. Well, because I wanted to catch things. Like the first time I was watching, it's like down it up.
No, I know what you mean. I had to read it again immediately after I first read it and kind of try to chart, like make sure I was getting it all. So I totally get it.
Yeah. So like what makes you choose these roles where you're literally going to be, I'm imagining 16-hour days of emotion, of running, in Caddo Lake, which you guys were really at, like, when you filmed there, and just dealing with the connection between a mother and the son. So it's like, what makes you get attracted to those types of roles where you're literally going to be just giving it all your all emotionally?
Well, I guess I don't think about it like that at first. Like I guess what I'm being drawn to initially is all sort of instinct and just based in like my heart and my soul, right? So like I clearly was really just affected and taken and believed in the story that I received, and I totally just like felt like I saw the guy and was the guy and just felt like, that connectivity with the character, which I think is just something that I've learned to like really respond to when that happens, because it doesn't always happen, and that's a really special thing. And yeah, and then just in terms of the setting, the environment, I really wanted to swim in that world. I just felt like what a beautiful kind of idea, I guess, to sort of have this through line of this tragedy, this family, like this heavy emotionality and grounded kind of like blue collar world and community and family, kind of spun into a really cinematic, like heightened kind of sci-fi adventure to kind of tell that story. I think it just possessed these elements that like I really enjoy, as like a reader or a viewer, and so yeah, and then yeah, I guess, in terms of when on the day you're kind of like covered in water in a swamp and you're worried about gators, and you're also like the tragedy of my mother, the trauma of my mother, the trauma of my mother. So I don't know. It's but I really feel connected to things like that. They're things to hook onto, and they're things that, again, I must have just when I first read them really believed them so truly that I felt them and really wanted to be a part of bringing it to life for someone else.
Yeah, and even though Paris is like reserved, you just like fall in love with him because you just feel for him, because I think we can all relate to having lost someone or not having all the answers, and the fact that he is willing to go to any extreme, but he goes through extreme, time warping, weird situations that he doesn't really know anything about, but it's all for the love of his mom and to try to find some answers. So
well, yeah, I mean, and I feel like that's a really interesting piece of it too, that I think as an actor, like I was just really obsessed with the idea of getting a chance to play with these sort of communities where, expression, especially like in like a male individual, is really kind of taboo. And it doesn't mean that there isn't an abundance of it going on underneath the surface. And I find that like a really interesting contrast from people that I've come across in my own life, these really soulful or like emotional people who grew up differently than I had, in these like really, really rural, blue collar sort of, very, very conservative towns, where the men got to be, men and no emotion and no, nothing. And it doesn't mean they're not still human, right? So I felt like that was I think that's just something that I'm really obsessed with too. And that was a piece of this that I found to be like something that I really wanted to have a hand in portraying.
I want to also say there's a scene, and I guess I won't give it all away just in case, but there's a scene with Paris and his dad at a point where his dad's sick in the hospital. And I remember just being like, hold back the tears, because it was so emotional to just find. And then I also thought it was so major for Paris to just say, I'm okay.
Right.
So what was that
Right.
scene for you to kind of just like say, yeah, I found out what I needed to, and I'm okay, and I want you to know I'm okay. And then
Mhm.
the rest of the film kind of takes off on a little bit of chaos. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's so sad ultimately. Like, I don't know. It was just really, it is kind of an amazing thing. It's what I love about movies, and I mean, we're creating this thing that doesn't even exist, right? But in the moment that we were filming that, I felt so connected to this person, like he really existed, and I just felt like, so much credit goes to Celine and Logan for writing such beautiful text, and in that scene, the dialogue, just sort of and just the concept that he was the little girl that he just held and saved, like his learning that was just his mother, to have her in his arms in the way that he just had, like there's just something really beautiful about that to me, that again, I think you just either you buy in or you don't, you know what I mean? It's like it's so
yeah,
subjective with how we take in everything, or whether we're reading something or watching something, in this case it was I just really bought in. I bought into this story and this family, and yeah, and that was a really beautiful scene to me that always stuck out from the first time that I read it, and was excited and terrified to bring it to life, but ultimately connected to it, and that's at the end of the day what I will respond to.
I loved it. You did such a good job. I mean,
Thanks, I really
it was
appreciate
so
that.
good.
Thank
I
you.
would, if I had more time, I would pick out so many things and dissect like scenes with
Well,
you
you
with
do, because we got another cancellation.
that.
You get 2 hours. My
I
God.
think I have probably like a minute left, so I want to. Dylan's like, can we
You've
check?
earned
Do we
it.
have
You
an hour?
watched Caddo 4 times. Like,
I did.
no one's asking me
No,
about this fucking
you know,
movie.
I watch your stuff
Please,
over and over
please
again.
get
Love your
more.
stuff.
I'm giving you more. Let's
Okay, we
go.
got more time. We got more time.
Yeah, go.
Okay. I feel like on the other end that I'm not seeing, the people are going, no, Dylan,
They're just kind of cracking up and looking at their phones.
So I'm gonna ask a question just in case they do cut me off, but I want to ask you, um, related to that movie, you also have an accent. And in that accent, it's like a southern, I called it like a really southern accent. Like it's not like one of those like pretty like, oh, from Charleston. Like, no offense to people in Charleston. Oh God, people are gonna kill
Sure.
me off that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's like a
Yeah. So you
grittier,
experienced this too. Okay. Yeah. It's
yeah,
humanizing. No.
it's a grittier southern accent. And again,
Yeah.
you nailed it. So like what is your skill with these accents? Like what how do you prep this? How do you do this? Because again, the first words that came out of your mouth on the screen, this was my face. It sounded nothing like you. And I was like, oh my God. Like all
Cool.
the movies I
Thanks.
see him in, he does these accents. So like how did
Thanks.
you nail that? Because it wasn't because you know how sometimes an accent can be too much, too little,
Sure.
kind
Yeah.
of be like
Yeah.
cartoony. Yours is
Yeah.
like
That's the
perfect.
scary part. Well, thanks. I I think everyone's different, and for me, like what really helps me feel good about it, or figure something out, is it has to come from like a real person who like I'm is existing and I'm like around, I guess. Ideally. But so yeah, on this case, it was kind of that. Like when I was first going into my boat lessons, I wasn't even really sure yeah, I guess what the guy was going to sound like in the movie. And like everything else in this movie, so much of what informed it ultimately was this community that actually does exist, around Caddo Lake, and particularly in like Karnak and Uncertain, like where we were shooting around, and got to know a lot of the local community there. So yeah, this guy, who took me out on the boat for the first time, his name's Chaz Warren. He and his brother Chaz and Zach Warren, who I became really good friends with. He and his wife Lacey literally just came up for like our New York screening, and I like saw them for drinks after till like 2 in the morning at like my local bar, like across the street, catching up. And yeah, he's just got an amazing voice, and he just struck me as soon as immediately, like I don't know, I just was obsessed with him. He's just a really infectious guy, and so whenever I'd go back, I'd start telling stories about him, like to set, just to Celine and Logan in rehearsals and stuff, because I was just like, we'd spend hours together. We just ended up, I just would spend hours with them, and I had so much time before we started the movie too that I just kept, bringing my dog out and going and hanging with those guys at the dock and like, drinking beers and smoking and just like hanging. And I mean, like it was a blast, and I just started really, I don't know, then I guess I wanted to like draw from his whole like dialect, like it just felt so authentic and specific, and not, again, like not too much, but like totally really really like singular, and I just thought he had one of the coolest voices I'd ever heard. So, and I felt like it was like in my register. So I was just like, oh, I kind of want to try to go for this, So that was kind of who I mostly pulled from was my friend Chaz.
But shocker, loved it. You did
Wait,
such
what?
I was like, big shocker. I loved it.
Oh, shocker.
Shocker. But you
Thank
did
you.
such a good job with it, and I was just like, wow. And then like and what's amazing about the accents is that you kind of disappear, right? So like a Dylan O'Brien is no longer acting, right? Because you're gone, and now I'm watching Paris, if that makes sense to you. So you do
Cool.
such a
Yeah.
great job with stuff like that. And
Thank
also,
you.
I don't know if you realize this, or maybe you work really hard on this, I don't know, but between both films, your entire body language is different, and it's because
Yeah.
of the way, I'm thinking like the accent, the wardrobe, and then the intention that you put behind it. So
Yeah.
if you compare those two, it's like unbelievably, it's like a 360, 180, whatever it is, but it's like completely different two
Well,
pieces
thank
of
you.
work.
Thank
So
you. I really appreciate it.
so good. I
Thanks
want
so
to
much. You get
mention.
another 10.
Yeah, just keep adding on
Keep
time.
them coming.
I want to say also really quickly, Pony Boy. They're all probably gonna kill you
Go.
back.
Go.
Pony Boy. I just want to
Yeah.
no, I want to advertise it for people because people don't
Let's
realize Pony
advertise it,
Boy,
please.
Pony
I
Boy,
want to promote my movies.
oh, I know everything. Like, Pony Boy and Caddo were filmed a while ago, and because of the strike
Yes.
and all these things, they're coming out kind of close together, and then you have Saturday
Yeah.
night. So I just want everyone
Yeah.
that's listening to this, go watch it. I don't want to give anything away, but if you want
Yes.
to see another completely 360 roll from Dylan,
Let's
go
go,
check out
baby.
that film. It's amazing.
Thank you, Monica.
So I
The
want to
real
plug
ones
that.
know. Love her. You get another 10 minutes.
I love you. Yeah, just
It's
keep
like
giving them to
tomorrow.
me.
We're literally just like,
Let's just talk the whole time. Let's just like cancel everybody else. So I could just keep telling you how awesome you are because it's so true. I want to
you're
get a
so
fan
nice.
question really quickly.
Okay.
So a fan said that which I've seen this too, and I'm kind of excited, but I hope it's sort of true, but it's probably not. There's been buzz on the internet about you maybe adapting Emily Henry's book, Funny Story.
Oh,
So I
I've
don't know if
heard
that was
about this.
something true or not true. And then if it's not true, would you do a rom-com? Like, where do you feel on this?
Yeah, well, it's not true.
Okay.
But I don't think that means that it could. I think that's still like early in development, and
Yeah, it's like really pre-production, I think.
yeah, and I'm a fan of Emily Henry's. I've had friends who turned me on to her books, and I know that a lot of them are now just beginning to get brought to the screen. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a no for me. I love the rom-com space. I've always wanted to do a rom-com, and I feel like we're finally kind of entering a little bit of a renaissance with that. So, yeah, I would say that, I guess. But yeah, I don't know where that, I think that might just be, that certainly, I have no emails
You have nothing
unless
that
I've
is
missed one.
confirmed.
Yeah, I'm not in Funny Story as of now. No.
Well, I know like fans will be very excited to hear that you want to do a rom-com because that came up a lot. I was going to talk about Twinless and Anniversary just because those are coming up, but we'll talk about it another day because I know that you're like rushing to get stuff done. So yeah, if you could just give me your phone number through Melissa, that would be great. And then we could just, I could just call you all the time and just tell you how much I love you. And then
collapsed.
and then we could talk about booking more stuff. But
Thanks,
Um,
Monica. I
as
really
you could tell,
appreciate all your
I just love
support.
you. I love your work.
Thank
You're
you.
so fantastic.
Thank
And
you. You're so nice. Thank you so much.
I'll
I
need you
love
again. So I'll have to bother Melissa to see if we can maybe
it's
figure
gonna
something.
happen. Well, we've got yeah, hopefully we talk for Pony Boy next. That'd be great.
So good.
I'll put you on the list, babe.
I'm on the favorite. All right. Well, thank you so much. Melissa's
Thank you,
gonna
Monica.
get me in trouble.
No, you're not in trouble. You're not in trouble.
Okay. I love you so much, Dylan. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you. You're the best.
I can't wait to talk to you again. Thank you for spending more time with me to go over everything because
You earned it.
and
Thank
like
you
we
for
literally could
your
have went an hour.
engagement in
So
my work. It's really nice of you.
well, thank you. Congratulations. And I feel Oscar run is coming for you. So
That's hilarious.
bye. Hope you enjoyed listening to Dylan O'Brien talk about the two characters that he's playing that are vastly different in these two upcoming releases. Saturday Night will be available on September 27th worldwide, so head to the theater to check that one out. And check out Caddo Lake on Max, which will be available for streaming October 10th. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.